Hey everybody, Dennis Mattern, Complete Advisor. Glad you're joining us. We've got a double feature this week. We're dropping 2 episodes, and the topic is client events. It is that time of year where you need to start thinking about what you're doing, how you're prepping for a holiday party or any client event, especially if it's an end of the year. And this week we have 2 advisors, 2 different locations, and 2 different approaches to client events. If you're watching one video, make sure you check out the other. We're going to hit do's and don'ts. We're going to hit lessons learned. We're also going to hit some great advice on getting started if you've never done a client event. You do not want to miss it. Let's take a listen. But let's start with, let's just back her out. Client event, a lot of advisors do these. A lot of advisors are curious about it. You see it in so many different forms and fashion. And you, for those of you that don't know Vince, you've got the unique perspective of having been on the inside of our industry, and now you're a very successful advisor, but you were sitting on my side of the fence with the IMO or the wholesaler world, working with other advisors. So you're up in Minnesota. So let's talk about client events. What kind of client appreciation event, do you define it that way?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you doing now?
What I'm doing now is we do a boat cruise on Lake Minnetonka, which is a pretty popular lake in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities. And I actually have to do 2 nights of it now because we have too many clients where we can just do one night. When I first started doing it, I would do it on this one boat that I used to captain. So I used to be a captain on Lake Minnetonka. Nice. And so it was kind of that nostalgia. Hey, I used to be the captain on this boat and take people on boat cruises around. And so I got to kind of have that story with my clients, and so they appreciated that. That boat ended up being a big news story because the guy that used to own it sold it, and then they didn't take it out until the lake froze, and so they're plowing through the ice to take it out. So that boat, it was a 58-foot Chris Craft Roamer, no longer in the lake, and so we had to switch over to a different company. And now that boat holds about 100 people. Really? Is it like 100 people with are you feeding them out there on this thing? Yeah, we're doing, and that's a problem with a lot of these client events is it can get expensive. Yeah. So it's like build your own taco. Yeah. And the hard thing is my clients like to eat food. So one year I did the boat cruise and I didn't have enough food. Oh, no. Because I was in charge of bringing the food. So I'm glad I don't do that anymore. But they do a little kind of buffet style where people can just build their own tacos and I don't have to worry about the food now. And then there's a bartender. They hand out drinks. And I have to be careful with that too because previously I was in charge of bringing our own beer and wine. And so some of my clients would just grab a bottle of wine. Oh no! So hey, wait. So how do you? Let's back up then. So you've got this event. Lake Minnetonka is pretty big then, right? It's a big lake. Yeah. Okay. It's not like Lake Superior. Sure. But it's a very well-known lake in Minnesota. The most expensive homes are on this lake, and so people like to kind of dream if they were living in some of those homes. They're 40,000 plus square foot homes. Okay, so no small like athletes and things probably out there, rich folks? No, most athletes have the smaller homes out there. So you mentioned a second ago that you used to do pies, holiday pies. So my whole thing was I didn't want to just do like any client appreciation event. I wanted to always have it tied into like a story of me so people could kind of remember my company or me. Sure. And the pies I actually got from a local bakery that was actually one of my good friends in high school's mom's bakery, and she made our wedding cake. And so she was really well known for some like French pies or any French pastry. Yeah. And so I went and ordered a bunch of pies from her to help support her business. Nice. And then give them to all my clients. Well, when you only have like 20, 30 clients at a time, it's a little bit easier to do that. Yeah. And then when you're over like 150 clients, it's a little bit harder to I guess I could order that many pies from her, but
It's almost too much. Like it's a lot of planning has to go involved now.
That would be a. I guess I never thought about that. But if it is one thing is you're looking to start a tradition for your practice, no matter where you're at. If you're just starting out, I guess maybe that would be one. If you're taking one thing away right now, because this feeds into what we're going to talk about too. Is if you're going to start a tradition for your practice, you need to look at scalability. Even if you're just starting out, like can you maintain that as your practice grows to where you want it to go? So you're doing pies, and what made you decide? So you just said things got bigger. When did you decide to?
Just the logistics of it, because I'd ask, what kind of pie do you want? Or I'd order a bunch of them, and then I'd be left over with a certain different type of pie. So. Yeah. That was the hard part, is trying to figure out, or the logistics of it. The other thing is, okay, where do you deliver them? Do you make people come in? And so what I did is I did a dinner event, and so then again I'm paying a bunch of money.
Now you're buying a meal and pie.
Right.
So we had an advisor out of Oklahoma, Chuck Bigby, who was on the podcast, he told me that one year, I don't know, I'm curious if he still does this. I think he started it during COVID, where he would dress up as a Santa, and then he would give out, I think, I'm going to have to listen to the episode, but he would give out either a pie or something, but he would be standing like in the parking lot, almost like he's Chick-fil-A or something, giving out pies. But so what did you end up doing? So you did a dinner.
So now for around the holidays, we send them a gift. And so I like to do more of a, something that'll stick around. So instead of just like a food item, last year we did like a cheese and meat tray, but it had had like a wood. It sat on some wood that had engraved our logo on it.
One of those cutting board things.
Cutting boards, yeah. It was pretty small though. Once we got it, we're like, oh, that's kind of tiny.
Looks bigger in the picture.
Yeah. And then year before that, it was like some dice game that had some chocolate in it, and so that thing could stick. It had our logo on it, so that thing could stick around. Maybe they put in their cabin.
Yeah.
We don't. I think Michigan's the ones that has the cottages. We have cabins.
Cabins, yeah. 40,000 square foot cabins.
And then this year we're doing a blanket with our logo on it, and
like a stadium blanket or a.
Yeah, I think so. My staff kind of showed me it briefly, and then I said, okay. So personally, technically, I don't like to do the client events just because it's awkward. Like I'd rather do more personal meetings than client events, but that's just me.
It's an interesting challenge to be in a group of 100 people and then have to social butterfly and work your way around, and or at least that'd be a challenge for me of you'd have to extricate yourself from that conversation, get to somebody else, and make sure that you're spending time with or at least enough time with people. And then I'm sure there's people that maybe you recognize or don't necessarily, like, is that the Johnsons? I haven't seen them in a half a year, so making sure you
putting the face with a name all the time. Yeah, or like, when was the last time I met with them? Or how's, or if like the market's not doing so well, it can get a little tough. I know some people do annuities, so they might not care about that, but when you're walking around, or like, well, how's the portfolio doing? Oh yeah, like, what do you think is going to happen? So it's tough being on the spot around so many different people. So I actually forgot to mention this. One of the things I did this year is I actually got season tickets to the Minnesota Wild, and
hockey.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the way I'm doing more of my client appreciation events. Is more one-on-one type things, bringing my top clients to those instead of, so it gets more FaceTime with my top clients.
And you get to go to a hockey game.
And I get to go to a hockey game. And then there's some other benefits where I get to bring my kid to some different ones. And I also am looking forward to bringing my kid to some of those client events. Mm-hmm. I forgot when my dad had his practice, he had a suite at the Timberwolves games. So we would go to a lot of them, and a lot of his clients knew who I was. I didn't realize they were his clients. Mm-hmm. I thought they just were people he worked with.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
So I forgot that it's actually because my clients know I have kids, and I always ask about my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually looking forward to bringing him to a game even with my clients, just because I know he's going to sit and watch the game. He's 7, so I don't have to worry about him. My 3-year-old I would worry about. Maybe another day I can bring him with other clients, but that's one thing I am doing beyond the boat cruise. And I like doing more of the personal things where instead of being caught off guard by a group of people.
Yeah.
This whole business is really relationship driven.
Yeah, it is.
So that's where I can build the relationships more. One of my advisors, I was like, hey, why don't you bring this client with, because she still has like $2 million at the TSP that we don't have. Maybe you can, take her on an event. Well, it kind of backfired a little bit. We're still getting the TSP, but apparently she doesn't do well around loud noises.
Oh, no.
So we have her go to this wild game, and I guess her boyfriend that was there was like covering her ears the whole time.
Oh, no.
So that kind of backfired. So one thing to note, if don't bring them on a boat cruise if they can't swim or if they're afraid of or motion sickness. Yeah. And then 2, if you're bringing them to something like that, make sure that you are okay with the noise. But other than that, so they still met a few days later and like, yeah, let's talk about the TSP account and move that. Yeah. So I guess that worked.
But it showed you cared.
Yeah.
Loudly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the boat cruise. So that is interesting. So you used to be a captain. You captained the boat. Could you marry people?
No, that was a college job.
Oh,
no,
okay.
No, I was like, I did the boat cruises. They're like 3 hours long, but sometimes they do like a captain's grill, and then I have to anchor the boat, go back, grill, and then I'd be just dripping in sweat, and then hop back up to the top and drive the boat around.
So you were looking for a client event, and you're just like, hey, I used to do the boat. You looked into it. What time of year do you do that thing?
We do it end of August or early September.
That weather should be nice, right?
Yeah, it's good weather in Minnesota. Not too hot, so no one's sweating.
The state bird of Minnesota, the mosquito, has kind of gone away at this point a little bit, hopefully.
Sort of. I mean, it might be coming back, depending on how much rain we get. But I have to do 2 now, so we do 2 nights. The way that we do it is we send out a letter, and I actually do it by top clients first, give them the first choice on which date to attend, and then we send out the rest to everybody else, just so we don't have too many on one date or another. Yeah. We've had issues with people showing up late, so I'm like, all right, if you're not there, we're leaving.
Yeah. That is it. You know what? This is one of the few client events where, if you're not there at 7 o'clock, I'm sorry.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. That puts a little wrinkle in there of,
parking's a nightmare around there. But we send them a letter with, here's how to park. I've had one client go out the day before just to see where the parking was before the event. They're a little bit older, so they wanted to know where to go. But it's a great event. I mean, the problem now is I can't not do it.
Yeah.
Because everyone looks forward to the boat cruise. Usually by June, early July, people are like, when's the boat cruise going to be? When's the boat cruise going to be? I'm like, well, we don't have a date yet, but you'll get an invite, don't worry. So it's now one of those things that I have to do.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I like that, there's people understand why I do it. They know I used to be a captain, that kind of thing. So but they love the boat cruise.
Is it just clients, or do you have them bring somebody?
Yeah, I did a referral cruise once.
Did it work out? I'm going to guess no. Okay.
So maybe I should have done it more than once, but yeah, I just kind of, I know my marketing does a lot better than trying to, because technically that's more expensive than my marketing. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that anymore. But I tried it. I know there's many different ways that people can get clients, and I know that's a big proponent for a lot of people. I just...
No, you know what?
I don't like doing it.
This actually brings up a really good point. Is that there's a ton of different ways you can get clients or prospects, and I think a good message, and maybe another takeaway for advisors, would be you got to focus on a couple that are working and not chase whatever. Like, oh, that guy's doing boat cruises. Now I'm going to try a boat cruise. Like, no, you know what? If you've got something that's working, stay in your lane a little. If you found a lane that's working for you, maybe kind of stay towards that lane instead of chasing whatever the new thing is.
The only thing I thought about doing in a future date is we have a lot of apple orchards, and I thought about to bring like the younger group, or to introduce myself to maybe their kids or grandkids.
That's a great idea.
I was going to rent part of that apple orchard, but the problem was this year the ones I was going to go to, they shut down this year, so that didn't work. Again, logistics didn't work out. But I thought about doing that. I'd like to do more. I like to do more of the events where I don't have like all my clients just grouped together.
Yeah.
I would rather do like the apple orchard where, hey, they come see me and then they go do whatever they want.
So you've got people driving to the lake, and then they're going home, but you have drinks there. Is there any worry about liability and all that, or?
Yeah, there's always a little bit of that. I mean, they're always responsible for themselves, but we only hand out, I think it's 2 or 3 tickets. Okay. I think it's 3 tickets. The way I calculated was we're on the boat for 3 hours. If you have a drink every hour,
you should process that.
We should be okay.
Metabolize it or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, what they do afterwards, if they go to a bar or something, because a lot of them have become friends now, so they'll go out afterwards somewhere, and maybe that's on them. Yeah. But to your point, the years past, the reason why I started doing the tickets, I had one client like literally drink a whole bottle between him and his wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like I should get a better handle on that. So
it would be a definite challenge. And that would be a way different dynamic too if you did the Apple Orchard Fall Festival. Because it's not like anyone's walking around with Long Island iced teas there versus, on the boat. It would be a different thing. Do you think you'll ever go away from the boat to the...
I can't.
You're trapped, victim of the boat success?
Yeah, everyone loves it. So we also do it at the time of day where you get the sunset.
Oh, that's nice.
And so, everyone, like the boat, technically it's a river boat. Mm-hmm. So the boat, like the windows sit maybe 6 inches off the water, and then it's a double decker. So
so does it have the paddle wheel thing at the back?
It doesn't have the paddle wheel, no, but
you can get up another deck up and take
it's a double decker. But yeah, you could sit on the bottom level. There's bathrooms on there. There's a bar, full bar.
You're set. You could grill.
They don't do that like we did.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
What do you do for weather? What if you have inclement weather? Do you postpone?
Change the date. Yeah.
Change the date.
It's happened.
Nice. What do you think? So this is totally a client retention thing. It'd be hard to measure any kind of ROI on something like that.
Well, now I'd be afraid to lose clients if I don't do the boat cruise because they're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Do you let them bring kids, or is it just
just clients?
Just clients.
I made a mistake. So one year, people would just bring like their friends, and I'm like, well, this is a client event. It's not like bring anybody. So don't bring. When I used to do the dinner seminars, we'd have like the ladies' night out, where they'd pick the back table and there's like 5 ladies all together. And so I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I only want them to bring their significant other, right?
Sure. So
I did that, and that kind of backfired. I guess some people complained about that. So then this year we just said, you and a guest. So one of my clients brought her bartender. Which is fine. At least she had somebody there to be with.
That's an interesting bring, bartender, but fascinating. So what would you do different besides not do it? Is there anything that you would, if you could start over with client events, or if you're giving advice, let's do it that way. If you're giving advice to somebody that said, hey, Vince, I'm thinking about doing a client event, what would be a do and what would be a don't? Just off the top of your head.
One is scalability. Make sure you can handle the logistics of the scalability of it. The boat cruise is becoming now a bit of a thing now where I have to have 2 nights, and then we're trying to send out invites, and it's getting a little bit harder. The other thing is if you don't like the awkwardness like I don't, don't pack a bunch of people on a boat. So I would do an event more where it's a bit more open. I did once a client event at a brewery. The problem is the food didn't come out fast enough.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't know. I would like more where like what I'm thinking about doing is where they can just go off and do what they're, they appreciate that I did this for them. They can talk to me if they want to, but they can go out and enjoy it with their family.
Yeah.
Or the other thing I'm doing that I like doing is the season tickets to the Wild, or I don't think I'll do Twins games, but I'm not a big baseball fan. But
me either. The hockey would be great. It would be that would be a much more intimate because you probably have, I'm guessing, like maybe 4 tickets. Or do you get a suite? 4. Okay, so yeah, that would be a nice you, your son, clients, you, your wife, clients.
Exactly. Yep, that's what we've been doing this year, and it's been a lot of fun being able to hang out with the clients a little bit more in a way that we're not talking just finances all the time. I have my kids' pictures in the background, so they always ask about them, that kind of thing. So it's always nice to be able to just be a little bit more personable instead of having to worry about the financials, the market, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. The pro sports are great because there's so many games too. There's just I don't know about hockey, but baseball it seems like there's a bazillion games. But like, is there a lot of hockey?
Yeah,
70
there's
games
40.
Maybe? Oh, that's it.
2.
Okay.
Home games.
Okay. So that's a lot. Golly, that's a lot. But that is an interesting thing of when it comes to client events, definitely think about, is it something you want to do long term? Is it, and then I guess the demographic of who you want to bring in but you can all of a sudden become a victim of your own tradition to, where if that boat doesn't go, you're going to have maybe some unhappy people.
Yeah. When COVID happened, all of a sudden we couldn't do it, and people are like, "Oh, are you going to do the boat cruise again soon?" Like, well,
that could have been your out right there.
Well, no, because everyone kept asking if we're going to go back to it.
So, you might. Do you think you're going to have to go to 3 nights?
Probably at some point. I mean, I hope to. I mean, I want to grow the practice to be able to do that, and I mean, it's just part of what it will have to be at some point. Part of it also, though, with a growing practice. The reason why I still will probably do it is because some of the clients I don't even know, because I have the other advisor. He meets with them, and so it's a way for me to at least put my face out there, and so they can know who else is running the show.
Do you guys put together like a picture book before the event?
No, that'd be a good idea.
It'd be great would be those dang on Google glasses where you could like have it loaded up in one lens, like, Kathy, Richard, good to see you. I see your son, you're just reading off stats. I see your son hit a home run in Pee Wee Little League the other night. That was great.
We make them put a name tag on.
That's good. That's good thinking. That's good thinking. How big does it practice? At what point does it make sense for you to buy the boat?
Oh, geez. Never. They always say the best day of owning the boat is the day you sell it.
Nice. Somebody told me that boat stands for when you take it in about another 1,000.
Yeah,
like to fit. I like my favorite kind of boat is somebody else's.
So the funny thing is that this is kind of off topic. My parents, they moved down to Florida, and they actually my dad passed away recently a couple of years ago, but they belong to 2 yacht clubs down in Fort Myers. They don't even have a boat or a yacht, so they just hop on their friends, but they do it all for the socializing.
Sure.
So that's when you think about like what do retirees like to do or what do they need to do, I mean, the socializing is a big aspect. So, that's where the boat cruise is nice because they get to socialize. But then there's also some other weird things about it. You'll have those people that are sitting by themselves or something like that, and then you feel obligated in a way. You got to spend some time with them.
Yep.
And so, there's always those kind of things. The other thing is making sure your employees don't get out of control.
Yeah, that's a good one too. You would think that would just go without saying, but
yeah, my advisor's girlfriend. I mean, I don't know if she's drunk during the day or if that's her personality, or if it only takes her like 2 glasses of wine. So he would laugh if he heard that, and she probably would too. But they like to have a good time. And so same with my advisor. I'm like, Mike, you got to cool it when you're on these client events. He's like, my clientele. No, I'm like, no, no, you got to cool it.
Well, cool. You know what? Thanks for sharing that, because I know that we get that question a lot about client appreciation events, and I've seen everything from the boat one is different, but we've got some advisors who do these massive events to small events, and it'll be interesting to see how the hockey works out for you. I think that's going to work out fantastically. But we'll see how big the boat cruise becomes.
Hockey is big in Minnesota, so it's almost sold out every game. So
nice. All right, Vince, thank you for being here. Thanks for having the conversation on client events. That is we don't think about ROI on those necessarily, but you know what? It is your retention. A retention for the practice. So thanks for being here. For everybody else, of course, you can catch all episodes of The Complete Advisor on the Complete Advisor podcast.com site, or if you subscribe, you get notified anytime we drop a new episode. So, sir, I thank you.
Yeah, thank you.